Welcome back to WCDC Art. Follow along to see how we created this cute elephant's blanket. For this project, you'll need the elephant template available for download in the video description below. We will also be using mini pom-poms, tacky glue, tape, and multiple colors of yarn. You will also need chipboard, which is a thinner version of cardboard, as well as scissors, a pencil, and permanent marker. And last but not least, things to color and decorate your elephant, like markers and colored pencils. Before getting started, it's a good idea to have your work surface all set up and ready to go with all the materials you'll need. So our first step is to grab our elephant shape. You could always draw out your own animal. We just want to cut it out. So now we are going to trace our elephant onto our chipboard. Now again, you can use cardboard, just know that it might be a bit trickier when you get to cutting it out. So we are just going to trace this guy. And when he's all traced, we're just gonna put our template aside. Don't throw it away just yet. We're gonna come back and use it for these little marks. So just set it aside, and now we're gonna cut out the elephant on the chipboard. So now we're going to take our template again and kind of line it up on the elephant as long as the front and back match up. You leave a little space up here because we are just going to mark where these lines are. And we're going to do this for the top and bottom. These are going to be where our yarn creates the vertical lines that we're going to start weaving over and under. So after you have the lines marked from the template, you put the template aside and then just kind of lengthen those to about 1/2 inch. And then we are just going to cut them. So our next step is just to have fun with our color, pencils, and markers and create some details on the elephant. So I'm going to start with a permanent marker and kind of draw in an eye and an eyebrow. And then I'm just going to put some designs on his forehead, maybe like a flower shape. So I gave him an eye, plus some details on his forehead and even some toes. Now I'm going to take my permanent marker and I'm gonna just kind of outline the shape. So for this step, you'll be needing some yarn. I'm going to go with kind of like a reddish purple, and I am just going to take the end of it, flip the elephant over, and find the last cut, and kind of pop the yarn in there, and then I'm going to tape down this strand. I'm going to flip him back over, take that yarn, go down to the one directly across from it, and then around the back, in the top, in the bottom, around the back, in the top, in the bottom, around the back, in the top, in the bottom, and once more around the back, in the top, in the bottom. And I'm just gonna flip them over and tape down this leftover. If it's a bit too long, you could always trim it. So now I'm going to take another color of yarn. I'm going kind of with like a chunky white, and you're going to take the end of it, tie a knot underneath one of the end strands, vertical strands. Make sure the knot is tight. And then again, you could trim this a little bit. I wouldn't get too close. And then we could always hide that end when we're done weaving. And a little trick when we get to the weaving part is you can take this end of yarn and then wrap a little bit of tape on it so it doesn't fray. And it'll kind of give it a bit of stability as you're weaving over and under. So now I'm going to say that this white is on top of this red. So since it's on top and over this one, it's going to go under the second one, over the third, under this one, and over that last one. And then I'm going to make sure I pull my yarn all the way through and kind of adjust it so it's at the top or near the top. And then again, since this white is over this red, now it's going to go under and over, under, over, under. And then pull it all the way through. And when you're pulling it all the way through, you want to make sure you don't pull too tight. You want to make sure that these end yarns stay as straight as possible. So your second line should be the opposite of what the first line was. So since this is under this red, now it's going to go over, under the one next to it, over, under, over. When you get to the point when you're done weaving, we are just going to tie a knot, kind of like we did at the top. And again, you can cut the tail of the yarn, but don't cut it too short. We're going to be tucking those tails behind the weaving. So you're going to take your tail and kind of just tuck it behind the weaving, even that top one you did. Now for our last step, we're going to take some mini pom-poms and our tacky glue and put some at the bottom. We can put some at the top, just so it looks like the elephant is wearing a nice cozy little blanket. So I'm just going to decide what colors I want. Maybe I'll do green and pink up there, and yellow and orange at the bottom. Thanks for tuning in to WCDC Art.